the X-loom. Today we are looking at reviewing the X-loom from CinDwood Looms, all the sizes that they have from 3/8 all the way to 5/8, all the stats and things that you need to know if you're going to buy this loom or not, here on GoodKnit Kisses. Welcome to GoodKnit Kisses. We're all about helping you stitch your love and love your stitches. All right, today on GoodKnit Kisses, you can see I have a big loom that is not fitting in my frame. Look at that. This thing is almost 18 inches across here. This is the 144 peg 5/8 large gauge loom from CinDwood Looms. This is handmade in the United States, MDF with the pegs, and they also have 3/8 and 1/2 inch as well. And you can see there are 4 wedges on here, 1, 2, 3, 4. They are completely movable. I'm just going to twist a little wing nut at the back and slide my wedge to the next position to increase or decrease. Now the 3/8 and 1/2 inch have 2 pegs on each wedge, and they are smaller gauges than this one, and so the stitches per inch are different and the yarns that you can use are different. We're going to get to all that in this video, and if you need to have all the stats instead of listen to me talk, you can go skip to the end and see that as well. I'm going to show you a bit of yarn on my loom and give you a few pointers here. So let me just go ahead and turn this right on over. I'm going to get right down to the nitty gritty. So when I turn this on the back, you'll see that it is by CinDwood Looms, and it's a 5/8 144 peg loom. If you have a loom that doesn't have that on there, be sure and write it on there. On the back, I wanted to show you, first of all, this is a medium density fiberboard, MDF. That's what MDF means. It's heavier, so if you need something lightweight, this is not going to be the X-loom for you. You're going to want to get a smaller one or some other loom, but it's worth it. It does a whole lot. The wedges right here are held in place by a wing nut and then a bolt that's going through the wedge, plus this big washer. Okay, so this metal piece is keeping it here. Now, you don't have a whole lot of bolt to screw this in and tighten it in for a reason, because they don't want it sticking out too much and catching on things. However, this wing nut can catch on some things. There are things at the hardware store, say Lowe's or Home Depot or Ace Supply or whatever you have near you, and you can replace these with a plastic wing nut or plastic bolts that you can use with your fingers. So I would suggest, if you want something a little lighter weight or something that's not going to scratch a countertop, then you could replace those. That's, if CinDwood wants to replace them, I understand that, but I'm just saying, if you want to do it yourself, you don't really have to. Just know that when you turn this back over, like this, it's going to be sitting up off of your table a little bit because there are these wing nuts here. Now, if it's sitting in your lap, you're totally good. However, your project can catch on that. That's my only thing about this loom that I want you to really know that you might not notice, plus how you hold your yarn. We're going to get to that later on in the video. So just know that when you unscrew the wing nut, you don't need to unscrew it very much. Untighten it and then slide it down and screw it in. You can flip these and turn them around. The way that this works is, imagine you have a big round loom. I'm going to get one out just to show you. Here's a round loom from CinDwood Loom. Now, if this particular loom was a round loom, it would stick out probably about this much from here, because you have to imagine that this part would be a curve and it would be unfolded outward this way. Okay, so I have a little demonstration. Here is a little ball, yarn ball wrapper. Okay, see, it's in a circle. I've already kind of pre-folded it. It's like taking it and moving it in like this. The person who created this is the Loom Muse, which is Scarlett Royal, and Scarlett came up with this idea, and it's just like taking a circle and folding it inward, and you're just gonna still be working just as you would in a circle, but now you're working all the way around like this. Kind of like a little flower, but it's an X. Dun, 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 dun. So anyway, stick around. I'm going to show you some yarn on the loom. I'm also going to show you some extra fun things to know about the loom, and let's just jump right in. Bring in the X-loom. Cue the music. Here it is. This one is rather large. You can see I have a few projects on here to show you. I'm actually working in the round on this side, making sort of a mock sleeve to show you. This is actually in a super bulky 6-weight yarn. It's really thick, but it's really nice. And I was able to even take one of the wedges and turn it around. So I just simply loosen the screw or the bolt on the back and take out the wedge and turn it and put it back on so that the groove faces the opposite way. And then I just work in the round. It's super great, and I can just increase. I actually went from here to here increasing, and I could go all the way up to here and to this middle area before I would need to start moving on and making it maybe in more of a flat panel. So this is what this one looks like. And if I was to turn it over more, you can see the increase that I started. I want to jump in with some more things in the round, which are these hats here. You're going to be working with stitches out to the maximum of your hat, and then you can move them in to decrease, or you can start with the smaller part of the crown and work an increase. This particular one is made on this loom. I worked with 24 pegs and decreased it down to 16. There is no bulk up here at the top. There are two different ways you can do it. One is Scarlett's way, and she shows you in the playlist below on how to do that. Basically, she's taking the outsides of the prongs, moving the pegs inward on the slider, moving the slider or the wedge inside, and then now you have a decrease wherever these prongs are. So it's evenly spaced. 1, 2, 3, and 4 decreases on your hat, and so that way you don't have that bulk. The way I'm doing it is a little bit different, and so on from the middle of one prong to the other middle, I'm actually dividing it up one more time, and so I'll have a little bit different technique. But whatever way you choose to use it, it's not wrong, it's just different. And that's so great about this loom, is because it gives you so much more versatility than working with a loom that may just have a couple of sliders or even one peg option. Even if you use the oval loom from CinDwood Looms, you only have the one wedge at either side to move, and so this one gives you more versatility. And if you're wondering, this one is the diamond lace stitch that's kind of a mock crochet stitch, and this is a super bulky weight 6 yarn made on this loom. And if you want to do something like this, this will be more of the 3/8 gauge loom, and then you can see my little wedge shapes for this decreased crown. All right, let's jump back in. So this one down here is to show you what it looks like with a bulky 5-weight yarn, which is very appropriate. Either weight yarn is very appropriate on here. You could even use a worsted weight yarn, but the 5 is really good. So let's flip this over. I want you to see what these stitches look like. This is a flat knit. I did a couple of units at the top just because once I get this off, I'll be able to show you what it looks like. But really, this is just a 1x1 ribbing, knit, purl, and then flat knit. And this gauge is actually the same as a needle knit polka dot hat that I have done before on the needles and demonstrating on my YouTube channel. And now we'll be able to put that on the on this loom. So that'll be really good. Let's flip this back over. And I want to show how it works. Now I'm showing just a flat panel, and you're seeing that I'm using a small amount of stitches and I'm using this bend here. Now if I was making a flat panel, I would maximize my wedges or even take this one completely out, work all the way down and around, and then all the way down here and around again, and keep going back and forth without using wedges. If I want to make a hat, I would start with probably the max here and then go and then decrease it down. But I wanted to show you how these stitches work and how we turn the loom. So I would just take my yarn here and then simply just hold it across, hook it around a couple of these, and then start making my flat knit stitch. Okay. Or of course you can make your U-knit stitch. Now this is obviously on a table. I'm going to insert a little clip for a second and show you me working it holding it up like this and in my lap. So let's do that right now. So this is how I would hold it in my lap if I wanted to just lay it flat, and it kind of avoids the problem tummy area, which is kind of nice. You can kind of turn it and hold it sideways like this and kind of angle it. I can hold it straight on, but you can also go straight up and down and have that long part in between your legs. And then, pardon me, I'm doing this one-handed, but you can just go along here like this. I'll show you what the end looks like when I'm working. And then I'm going to get my yarn, which is leading from off of here. And I found that that is the way that tangles less, that, or you would hold it up over your shoulder. And just pick this up and rotate it. And then I've already got my yarn here. And then this part, I'm just going to go ahead and kind of put it back here and hook it. And then you just work this side. And that is how I work the X-loom in my lap. Okay, so we're back. What did you think about that? Write in the comments below, how would you hold it? Would you like it in your lap where your tummy can kind of tuck around here and this sits nicely? Or do you like it sitting like across, like vertically up in your lap? Or would you kind of spin it around? So, or put it on a table. So the best use of where you place your yarn, it really depends on how you're holding your loom. If you're right or left-handed and you're putting it in your lap and you're holding it vertically, you could sit it to the right or left, but really it's best out in front of you. But definitely kind of play around with it, and it's going to take some getting used to, although I think it's probably easier to work this one than the S-loom. So, Kristen, what are the stats? I always want to know that information when I come on your channel. Okay, I'll tell you. All right, so this loom back here, we're working with the 5/8 144 peg extra large X loom. There is also a small and a large, and you can see those numbers here. So 72, 104, and 144 pegs. All right, so moving over, if we want to make the smallest amount that we can decrease to or work in the round on here with the wedges, it is going to be 16 pegs. Now you have to make sure those wedges are really screwed in there because they start kind of getting really close to the edge on the inside, but 16 does work. On the 3/8 and 1/2 inch, they actually are a minimum of 24. So you can't actually go down any further than 24 on there. Otherwise, you'll just have to move your stitches in and just maybe use every other peg if you're trying to get less stitches than that to decrease. And then I also made a little column on how many pegs you can double knit on one of these prongs, or what I call legs. So this little side part here, that's if you're skipping these end pegs here and then going with the ones that are straight across from each other, because they work just like the other CinDwood looms that double knit. So I'm counting how many across. So I'd say 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's how I'm counting them. It counts both at the same time. So you can see those numbers here. And then I put on the US dollars that you can see as of this recording. And then these are the sizes across. Now, CinDwood does not call out the 1/2 inch looms, but the ones I'm looking at here, the one in the back is 17, and that's measured from the end of this prong to the end of this one over here. That's not measuring across. Like if you're measuring across a triangle, of course, that would be much longer than that. And so 17 by 17 by 3, and that is from the top of here to the bottom of where that wing nut is to fasten it together. And then on all these looms, you're going to use a 5 or 6 weight yarn. And then no samples have been knit to show us like what the biggest that can be in here, but you can use that with the stitches per inch that I'll call out to you in a minute, and you can kind of figure out what those are. And projects on here would be more like a baby blanket or small afghan on the smallest one, all the way to a larger shawl or couch size afghan on the medium size one, or actually it's called large. So small and then the large, and then the extra large will be up to a twin size blanket and adult size clothing, which is really cool. So on the 5/8, which is considered a large gauge loom, you can do these things. And then also you can do them on the 1/2 inch gauge, which is just 1/8 of an inch smaller setting here, but you're working with things like a number 4 weight yarn that you can do on that one. You can do a number 4 weight or a 5 weight yarn on that. And you can do things like baby blankets, 2 baby slippers at a time, 2 children's gloves at once, and then also the same as these other ones, couch afghan, or even 2 slippers, and then up to a twin size blanket. So let's kind of zoom back over here for a minute. So the 1/2 inch has a small, a large, and extra large. The peg sizes or peg amounts is 96, 128, and 176. The minimum is 24. And then you can see the double knit pairs that I did, and the prices and the sizes are not listed. But here are the flat panels that are approximately made from those, according to Scarlett. The smallest one can do 20 to 24 inches in a number 4 weight yarn and flat knit, or up to 32 inches in a 6 weight yarn e-wrapped. So that was a small one. The large one can go up to 36 inches in flat knit with a number 6 super bulky weight yarn, or even up to 43 inches in a number 6 weight yarn in e-wrap. Okay. And the 3/8 gauge, which is even smaller, and then the 3/8 and the 1/2 inch also have 2 pegs on those wedges. They are 120 and 160 pegs, minimum of 24 in the round. And then these are their double knit pairs here, their prices, and then sizes. And then they are using a number 4 medium weight yarn, or even you can use a number 3 DK weight yarn. They'll go anywhere from 21 inches to 24 inches, I'm assuming in flat knit, and 29 to 32 inches, I'm also assuming in flat knit, and also calling out some of the things you can do, which is on the CinDwood site: hats, socks, capes, baby blankets, items, and then the larger one, adult socks and fingerless gloves. So those are really great. So all this information is found on the links down below. This is a combination of Scarlett's website and CinDwood's website. And then I also made note that you can buy these double peg wedges. Make sure they say for the X-loom and not the oval panel looms, but they have them for you if you want to buy extra. And that's if you are going to be doing things like playing around with adding, putting maybe a couple of wedges on each side and doing multiple projects. There's different reasons why you might want an extra one, but it does come with 4. Down here is the gauge for the loom, and also the measured gauge after you've used your stitches and your different yarn weights. So these numbers are based upon what Scarlett did, and so you could use these and multiply them out to how many pegs that you see on the loom if you're figuring out numbers for yourself and which loom is going to work best for you. So you can see that here. I'll just go over a couple of them. The 3/8 in a flat knit is 5 stitches per inch. That's how many stitches are counted in 1 inch area, by 9 rows per inch in a medium 4 weight yarn. And then you get even more stitches per inch in a smaller weight yarn. So that's a number 3 DK weight, 6 by 10. The 1/2 inch, she did 3 different ways of doing flat knits in 3 different weights. And then she also did an E-wrap. In flat knit, you can get 4 stitches per inch in a number 4 worsted, or in the number 5 bulky weight yarn. So I don't know that these numbers are fully correct, but these are just numbers that she's going on, but so they're very close to each other in this one. And then jumping to a super bulky weight, then you get it lowered to 3 stitches per inch and 5 rows per inch. In the E-wrap, it's still about 3 stitches per inch, but it's a little less rows per inch. And again, these are her numbers. In the 5/8, she's got 3 stitches per inch by 5 rows per inch and a number 6 bulky weight yarn. And then an E-wrap, it goes even smaller, 2.5 stitches per inch by 3 in the same yarn. So that is all the stats that I've got on there, and you can go down below and see more information. For all the playlists and more patterns, we've got that down in the links down in the description below. If you'd like to have more pattern tutorials and videos on the X-loom, be sure and comment, but hit subscribe first and that bell icon after subscribe button so that you don't miss a stitch and get it in your email inbox. Thanks for joining us today, where we help you stitch your love and love your stitches. See you again soon.